All right, we'll get this thing going. Just wanted to thanks everybody for joining us today. Want to introduce you to Matt Bernard. He's with MPS. And the beauty about MPS is that they not only do they do the acoustic side of it, but they also do the sound masking side of it. So we were talking, and it was a thing that we haven't done a think and drink for a while. And it was what's one of the more confusing aspects? And having thought about it for about 2 seconds, it was like, when do you use sound masking? When do you use acoustical material? When should you call, who or what? And one of the best things is that since MPS and we represent both, that the MPS does sound masking and acoustics, you can always just call us and we can come out and look at the situation. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Matt and let Matt give a little meaning behind and things to look for and everything else behind sound masking and acoustical.
Yeah, thanks, Tim, and the rest of the associates there. Can I call y'all that? Is that okay? Appreciate y'all setting this up, and thanks for asking me to be a part of it. Super excited. I love any chance that I can get to kind of educate folks and share just a little bit, about what we do here, and that's one of the things that we do like to do. And I know Tim and his team as well are very great about taking that consultative approach, really kind of breaking down each individual setting. And we understand that, typically there's not a one size fits all solution for each individual space. And so one of the great things that Tim and his team and I like to do is obviously go in there and analyze the space and help you understand what the best solution is so that you can make the best recommendations. And so kind of today what we want to do is, as you can see here with the title, Unmask the Mystery. All right, because there is, I guess, a little bit of kind of mystification maybe with sound masking. A lot of folks maybe not so familiar with it. I'm sure we probably have some folks on the call here that are absolute pros. They understand sound masking possibly even better than I do. And that's great. But there's a lot of folks in the industry, whether it be from dealers or designers, A&D, all that, right? That don't quite understand, the difference and when's the right time to use which solution. So that's definitely the plan here. So where we like to start, and just kind of to kind of preface this a little bit, I definitely do obviously want this to kind of be interactive. So feel free to speak up, answer questions, ask questions, anything, right? Interactive is best. I definitely don't want to sit here and just kind of talk and lecture for the next 30 minutes because I will absolutely bore you. And I don't know that any of y'all have enough drink in front of you to overcome the boredom that will ensue. So let's try and make it fun. Let's try and make it enjoyable. And let's have a good time. So common concerns, this is where we really like to start. And, we obviously like to spend a lot of time here, but since today we're kind of condensed, we won't spend too terribly long here. But this right here is going to be the basis for understanding that difference of, well, when do I use this versus when do I use that, right? And these are common concerns that I'm sure everybody on this call, whether, it was one of the reps there at Tim O'Neill and Associates or any of our various dealer partners that we've got on here, you probably at one point in time have had a customer come to you with at least one of these common concerns, if not all three of them, even at the same time, right? And so we've got distracting conversations. Distracting conversations can be anything from you've got an open office space and you have maybe somebody at one end of the room that is, maybe their voice just carries. Maybe they're like me and they're loud. Who knows, right? But when you can hear that individual at the other end of the office space and they're just speaking in a normal tone, obviously that's going to create a distraction and a problem in the workplace. Lack of privacy. Obviously, there's certain, types of individuals, especially within certain roles within a company, that their job demands a certain level of expected level of privacy. And so there's times, though, that they enter into their office, they close that door, and they think, I'm about to have a confidential meeting. I'm about to have a private call or conversation with somebody. But in reality, everybody can stand outside of their office and hear everything that's happening inside, right? And then, of course, the last one there, too loud, too echoey. This is a common concern that we get a lot. And this is one that I do like to kind of talk about a little bit, because too loud, too echoey can kind of mean different things to different folks. To one person, too loud or too echoey could mean that I can hear somebody on the other side of the office. Okay. But to somebody else, too loud or too echoey would be like for me in my office right now, if I was having this call and you on the other end were hearing just, my sound, my voice just bouncing off all the walls around me and causing a large amount of reverb, that would be too loud to me or to you on the other end of this call, obviously. So the common concerns, understanding those and just kind of seeing how they play, and obviously into this next slide here as we get into the ABCs, these go hand in hand, very important. We've got the ABCs of acoustics. A is for absorb. This is where acoustic panels come into play. You can see the panels behind me. This is one of our products we have. It's called Muir. It's a double thick product. It's a great kind of design way to incorporate some design into your space, but also add that level of absorption. NRC rating on a double thick panel like that is about 0.5%. Versus like a single layer, which is about 0.3%. And for a bonus question, I'm gonna throw it out there. And Tim, you can't answer. Nobody from Tim's crew can answer because they know this already. Okay. Yeah, I see you trying to answer. I saw that smile. Does anybody know what the NRC rating for just drywall is?
0.65.
0.65. Woo, man. If drywall is 0.65, I'd be out of business.
All right. 0.35.
Hey, there you go. It's actually really close, right? So yeah, the average NRC rating for just straight drywall is going to be 0.3.
Okay.
So if we were to just take a single layer of PET and put it onto a drywall, really and truthfully, we haven't done much as far as adding absorption into the space. So there's ways to incorporate that and to increase that NRC rating, and we'll talk about those here in just a little bit.
Hey, stupid question. What the
No
heck
such thing, Tim, you know that.
What's an NRC? It is National Registration of Commissioners or something, or what?
NRC rating. Does anybody actually know what the NRC rating is? So NRC stands for noise reduction coefficient.
Okay.
Basically,
That's it.
Yeah, basically it's a fancy term for the amount of noise that's absorbed by a material. Interesting enough, little tidbit of history here for anybody who cares. The original way that the NRC was rated was against a certain type of material, and that material was wool. And so that's how the NRC rating actually came about originally. And which is why nowadays, actually, if you see some of our products and other products out there by other manufacturers as well, you can actually achieve an NRC rating greater than 1%, or technically 100% or 1, which kind of sounds a little like, how can you have more than 100%, right? It's not possible, but that's because the NRC rating is actually based on the original rating of wool, how absorbative wool is in that specific situation.
So should I just get a bunch of sheep?
Yeah, absolutely. Get some sheep, put them in there, and it'll soften it up.
Like biophilia too, well,
and that actually that's a great point, Tim, and that's actually where I was going to go with that. You say that jokingly, but the good thing about trying to increase your NRC rating in your space and to get some absorption in there, you can achieve it by many different methods. It doesn't have to be PET, right? For instance, the couch that's there behind Tim that I can see, that soft material, is it soft? It looks soft. Is it? Okay, it looks soft. Okay, I'm good. Even adding soft material, soft seating, carpet, drapes, even plants, all these things are going to increase the absorption in your space. So as you can see there, acoustic panels carpet, etc. Those are going to allow the sound of your voice or anybody's voice to be absorbed by those materials and reduce the amount of echo and reverberation. Okay. And then B is for block. Block is where walls, doors, and our ceilings come in, right? I'm sure we've all, like I said, had that experience where somebody comes to us and says, hey, you know what? I'm the HR manager at my company, and I have to have quite serious conversations with people from time to time. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that when I close my door and I try to have these confidential conversations, that the offices next to me can hear everything that I'm saying, right? Or worse, the people outside of my office can hear what I'm saying. And so blocking can only do so much, but we understand that sound is energy, and it's kind of like water in the sense that it's gonna go out and it's gonna look for any nook and cranny and crevice that it can find, and it's gonna seep out and escape. So we can use blocking with walls and doors and ceilings to help increase containing a sound or keeping sound from going too far in one direction. But that's where typically the design team is going to handle like architectural features such as walls and things like that.
Oh, he froze up. Man, that just stinks.
Matt, are you there?
They got a lot of technology. So then the next thing is cover, which is C. And that's sound masking. That's Pete laughing. Not that I've known Pete for a few years and can tell his laugh.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Oh, well, so he doesn't have, so he totally, yeah, there's back now. All
Okay.
right.
Hey, I'm sorry. Let me try and change my. We'll try this one and see. I apologize. I know that I lost some folks, or I lost myself there.
Yep,
What was the last thing?
We're on cover. C.
Covered. Perfect. Oh yeah, C. All right, good. So
And
you got
we're
that.
almost halfway through, so just letting you know.
Okay. So cover. Cover is where sound masking is going to come in, right? And so this is, again, if we've got conversations that we're trying to cover up or we're trying to mask, right? We want to disguise that conversation. We want to disrupt that conversation. We want to make that conversation less intelligible. So couple of basics of sound masking here. What is sound masking, right? Sound masking is just going to be a speaker-based system that introduces that unobtrusive background sound into your space. It's going to reduce that intelligibility of conversations, and it's got to be comfortable and effective, right? So that's where we get to see cover, or for instance, on the common concerns, that's where the distracting conversations or lack of privacy comes in, okay? Where to mask. Real quick on this one, the important thing to understand right here is going to be treat the ear that's hearing the problem. This is probably one of the biggest misconceptions about sound masking, is that you think that you would want to, if I'm the person that I don't want my conversations being heard, you would think that putting a speaker directly over me is going to keep my conversation from being heard outside of my office. And that's not correct. You want to treat the ear that's hearing the sound. So if somebody's hearing me in the office behind me or in front of me or to my side, that's where those speakers and that system needs to be installed.
So if you were doing the one in the front, what in the picture, where would be the sound masking if I'm trying to keep it from the people outside hearing?
Great question. So if we got a conference room right here in this photo right here, and we're trying to have relatively private conversations inside of this conference room, the speakers we're going to definitely want to put outside of this conference room. So like in this hallway back here, and then out here in this open office space, we would definitely want to have speakers throughout there. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep that sound from transferring. It's not going to keep the sound from transferring out of the conference room because it's not noise cancellation. It's not soundproofing. But what it's going to do, though, is it's going to keep these individuals that are sitting outside of this conference room from being able to understand what's being said inside. Acoustic panel.
Don't you put um speakers in the conference room as well, though?
You can, Pete. That's a great question. You can. A lot of times, though, when we do our sound masking layouts, we oftentimes forego speakers inside of a conference room. Typically, because we also know that a lot of times end users in their conference rooms are going to have some kind of AV equipment, whether it's like what Tim and them are using right now with, TV and a sound bar, things like that. And so we often exclude that from a conference room for that reason, because we don't want to have the sound masking interfere with, the other systems that they have in place to help them with their video conferencing. If they are afraid of, say, they have a conference room that's like a multi-purpose type use, like boardroom type thing, where they want to have the ability to help improve the meetings inside of there, we will absolutely put sound masking in those. It's just when we do that, I would always recommend using a volume control knob for the room, so that if they go into that conference room to use the conference for like a video conference, they can turn that volume down so that it's not being disturbing to the folks on the other end of that call. But if it's just being used for a normal meeting, then they can have the sound masking turned up and it provides the coverage for the space.
So Matt, you were just talking about, changing the level of noise being pumped out into the room. Is controlling it by hand like the only way, or is there another way it can be controlled? Like maybe it could read the room and pump out as much noise as is required?
Absolutely, Amber. Awesome question. So our system, just as well as most other systems out there, they are going to be controlled by some sort of software. They're typically software based. Ours is definitely software based. So you can make adjustments from a PC, or you can also download our app, and it can be controlled remotely if the controller is networked to the local network. But then beyond that, where MPS begins to kind of differentiate themselves from everybody else, is MPS does have a patented technology in our adaptive control sensors. And those adaptive control sensors, they monitor that ambient noise in the space, and it sends those readings back to the controller. And then the controller will automatically adjust. It'll raise or lower the sound masking in the space, given the needs based off the reading of those sensors. So yeah, great question.
Awesome. Thanks.
Acoustic panels, another great cost-effective way to provide acoustics into your space. Problem areas, again, conference rooms, right? I love this photo. This is an amazing conference room, but as you can see it, from those of you that have a design eye, glass, not our friend when it comes to acoustics. Beautiful, don't get me wrong, until it gets fingerprints and smudges all over it, which I like to do. Same thing with the concrete ceilings. I love that old industrial look of a lot of these modern offices. It's just unfortunate that that modern look does not lend itself to good acoustics, right? So conference rooms, hard surfaces, ceilings, hard ceilings, glass, anywhere, lobbies, reception areas, call centers, anytime you've got a large group of folks together that are going to kind of be generating maybe a larger amount of noise. These are going to be areas that we definitely want to focus. So like I said before, the purpose of the panels is going to be absorption. It's going to be to reduce the noise, the echo, and the reverberation. One of the things that we do here at MPS is we do like to, we love doing custom things. So if somebody's got a design where maybe they want to incorporate some branding or a logo, signage, things like that, we love doing those.
Yeah, but Matt, that's really expensive. Can you really, I mean, how can you do that when it costs so much?
No, customs definitely are you know, that's the name of our game. And honestly, in our business, customs, if you're charging for customization, I think it's not good practice because every project's different, right? So we don't charge for customization. We don't charge for shop drawings. And so we can definitely do something custom like a screening or a logo or anything like that. That's really at no cost to you. We do have the ability to print, so we can do custom prints as well. There is a slight upcharge for printing, but it adds, I think, like roughly maybe $5 per square foot in the grand scheme of things when we print on something. And so, but when you compare it to the overall, it still keeps that cost pretty low. So yeah. And then decorative, absolutely decorative, right? Everybody wants their space to be pretty. Can I say pretty? Is that okay? They want their space to look nice. And nobody wants to look or be in a space that's dull and drab. So last real slide, and then we're going to get into some scenarios and actually talk about when do I use what. Things to remember. When we're talking about using acoustic panels, we're not going to use panels to block sound. We're not going to use acoustic panels to improve privacy. That's improving privacy is going to go back to sound masking. And then problems that we run into from time to time is not putting panels in the correct location. Like honestly, really and truthfully, my panels in my office are in the wrong location. They're behind me because we want people to see them. But really and truthfully, to get the best results for them, I need them about 1.5 feet in front of me at the wall in front of me. So putting them in the right place does play a difference as well. Not having enough panels in a space. A lot of times we get folks that come to us and say, hey, I've got a customer that wants to put, you know, a 4x4 panel on their wall. And they think that it's going to solve all their acoustic needs. And well, I hate to break it to you, but it's not, right? And then, like I said, not using an air gap. It goes back to that NRC rating we talked about, where if you just take a sheet of PET that 3/8 of an inch thick, which is the thickness of ours, 9 millimeters, and if you just shove it straight on a wall, you really haven't increased the PET or the NRC rating for the space, anything greater than what you already had if you had drywall. So, and those are all things that we help with, and Tim and his folks are happy to help with as well, to make sure that you are utilizing the air gaps and making sure you've got enough panels for the space and that you're putting them in the right location.
Hey, this is Jason. A quick question.
Yeah.
Do you have good examples? And Tim, quit drinking so much, would you please? By the way,
It is a think and drink. Gosh, Jason.
I know. I'm just kidding. Hey, real quick, do you have any good ideas of vertical applications where you can create an air gap? And obviously on ceilings, you can do it easily, but on a vertical wall, like a lot of people like to have the wall application because it looks nice, but you are putting it straight to the wall. So to increase that, is there a way to air gap it? Is there some kind of like
Yeah, absolutely. So this
filler
is,
or something? Go ahead. Thanks.
Yeah, so this is just a kind of little example that we have here. This shows one of our kind of wall products called a REIT. And what it does is, I don't know if you can see this pretty well. Basically, this is a back panel that was secure to your wall. And you can see that on the back side, I don't know if you can see it or not, there's a lip here. So there is an air gap behind this whole panel as well. But then we take essentially like a baffle like this, and it connects in just like the rest of these, and it helps to also create an air gap as well to increase the NRC rating. So the NRC rating of this product right here is actually a 0.85. Pretty good for a wall product. So there's that.
If you walk into a room with that stuff on there, you'll notice that the noise just muffles down greatly. So an old fart like me isn't going crazy.
Absolutely. Not that Tim's an old fart, but he's got a good point.
Getting picked on by Jason and now by Matt.
I'm gonna get fired by Tim. He's never gonna ask me to hop on another call ever again.
Where's
So
Eric?
this is another good example, Jason, where this is basically like our Caligo material, just a straight 3/8 inch or 3/8 of an inch sheet of PET. We have these enhancers that we put to the back. We put on the back. So we can either do corner enhancers like this, or we can do strip enhancers all the way around. And what it's going to do is once it hits to a wall, it creates that 3/8 inch of an air gap behind the panel, which traps the sound and allows it to increase that NRC rating. So, great question. And absolutely, I know we're running out of time here. If any of y'all do have any other more specific questions, reach out to any of the folks there at Tim O'Neill Associates. They have lots of products. I know they would love to show you what they've got. And if they've got questions for me, they know how to get in contact with me, and we can make sure that you're taken care of. So real quick, just a couple scenarios to kind of put into practice what we've talked about, because these are real life situations. These are actual situations that have been brought to my attention by either an end user or a dealer that has come to me with these. So we got scenario one here. We just moved into our new office and we're experiencing issues in our conference room. We get complaints that there's an echo picked up by our AV system while doing video conferencing. We've also noticed that when a group of us go into the conference room, it's extremely loud with sound bouncing off everywhere. So what would your recommendation to this customer be?
Well, we got to sort of hurry up, so we'll say acoustical panels.
Okay, absolutely, right? Acoustical panels. We're gonna recommend probably putting some kind of ceiling treatment in there, maybe in additional walls, depending on what we've got to work with.
But hey, Matt, real quick, as far as should it be ceiling first, wall first, or doesn't matter?
Again, each situation is different and specific. Typically, I would say 9 times out of 10, I'm generally gonna go to put it on the ceiling first. If the ceiling is just crazy and busy and it's just not a good option, and we can't get a good application evenly throughout the space, then I'm going to pivot and say, let's focus on the walls. But typically, I'm going to recommend at least 60% of the material for a space goes on the ceiling. So this is me. I'm unable to control the pitch and volume of my voice. That's me. I have no volume control. I just yell all the time in my office and everybody hates it. But scenario 2, we love our new open office floor plan, but everything seems so much louder now. When I stand in the corner of the room, I can hear everything that's being said in the far corner with ease. What are we recommending?
Sound masking.
Sound masking, right? We're talking again about speech privacy at this point or distracting conversations. So that's going to go to the C for cover. Scenario number 3, and I kind of actually already hit on this one because I get this one quite a bit. I was standing outside of our human resource department yesterday while they were having a private conversation with a coworker, but I was able to understand everything that was said. What would we recommend?
Cone of silence.
Cone of silence.
R.I.P.
Hey, don't say that too loud, because if my coworkers hear
Chief,
that,
can you hear me?
They're gonna order one of those for me, so be careful. Yeah, right. Sound masking again. We're gonna use sound masking because we're gonna want to again address the issue of speech privacy. And then, of course, the last one here, we've got a break room that's separated from a co-working environment by a hallway. The people in the break room can get loud, and it causes a disruption to those working in the co-working environment. What can we do to block the noise from the break room from entering this area?
Combination of both.
Tim, it's like you had the cheat sheet.
We might have went over this earlier, or the other day, but
Yeah, so this is a great question. Few things on this one to kind of remember, and we'll wrap up here, is this is definitely going to be a combination because you've got an issue of poor acoustics in a break room, more than likely, which is causing echo and reverberation in that space, which is also not necessarily doing anything to absorb the sound immediately. And then that sound is just transferring across that hallway into that open office area. And then the people in the open office area are now hearing that sound as well. So you're going to want to do acoustic material in the break room and then sound masking in that open office area, as well as probably in that hallway, to help just kind of keep things kind of normal and down. Any questions? Anything? All right. So, Tim, can I steal another minute? Just run through a few of these real quick and just show off a little
run through
bit.
a few, and then I'll draw. MPS has been nice enough to sit there and give away 3.
Acoustic panels, they're 3 feet by 4 feet max.
That'll be
Yeah.
customized to whatever
And this
you
is
want it
just
to
like,
be.
this is an example of something that we've done. Something like this where we'll help you design it and we'll send it out to you and you can have it in your space and show it off.
So you go ahead and show those pictures and I'll draw the names.
All right. So
Well,
this is an actual application. I know, Jason, you were asking a little bit ago. This is what a REIT looks like on the wall. So that's a REIT installed. This is Prism, which is another form of a REIT. This one just kind of comes to a point. It started off as a profile of a REIT and then eventually became its own thing. This is another good example of a REIT and also the use of biophilia in a space. Unfortunately, the biophilia is not ours. I wish it was because it looks fantastic. And this is Fin Mural. This is another really, really popular item right now. This is a great way to kind of customize things and to do some kind of flashy imagery in a space. This just kind of shows it.
Sorry to interrupt. Is there a way to do that freestanding versus wall mounted?
On the Fin Mural?
Yeah.
I would we could probably make it work, but I would recommend against it because the backside is essentially going to look like this.
Well,
Oh,
but
well,
if we attached it to, yeah, the answer is a combination of, we can find somebody that can make a stand that would be able to sit there and put that on. So yes, we could.
Would you want it mobile?
Do some sort of like backer behind it, like a wood or
Yeah.
a laminate, and
Yeah.
then put that on it.
Yeah. You definitely would want to cover the back.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Love the question.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And this is just another good example of Fin Mural. This is an image that somebody in a doctor's office, they said, hey, we want to have a picture of the sun setting over the ocean. And so this is what they did. And this is one that some of you up there in the north may have been here. I've never been, because this is actually an image that same doctor sent us from a place that he really liked on Lake Michigan, I believe.
Whoa. Quit swearing. Quit swearing. Let's move on.
I'm from Texas, Tim. I don't know anything about that area. I'm sorry. But this is a place that he really liked, so he sent us this inspiration image, and this is what we came up with for the Fin Mural. This is Deco, just another great example of ways that we can etch. So this is actually the back color there is one of our standard colors. The top layer is actually a printed color, and then we use our CNC machine to cut a design down into that base coat. And then we do have the ability to integrate LEDs into our joists and our baffles. And then frame, another very, very popular product right now. This is another frame. This was done at Appalachian State. And this is, I think, their student center. We did this frame right here, as well as these clouds. So,
Which that wood can actually match the wood of the building or whatever. So anyways, go ahead.
yes. Yeah. So yeah, we can do custom wood grains. We can do custom colors. When we start getting into customs, though, I do like to just kind of throw out there that anytime we're trying to match something, just a few things to remember is that it's going to, more often than not, it's going to be an MPS interpretation of that. Plus, we're talking about a difference of something printed either on paper or on a digital screen versus being printed onto our PET material. So there is always going to be some slight variations there, just something to think of. And then last thing here, like I said, we love custom. This is a company that wanted to integrate some of their core values onto these essentially Atto panels that are attached to their wall. And then these are actually, I'm pointing with my hand, like you guys can see what I'm pointing at. This right here, this map of the Houston area, this is similar to like what I just showed y'all a minute ago in my office. That's actually 3 different layers of PET that are secured together to create that. So I often tell folks that we here at MPS are only limited by your creativity. So if you and your customer can think it up, I can make my designers and my engineers figure out how to make it happen. I personally don't do that, but I make them do it. So as creative as you want to be, we're happy to help in any way that we can. So, all right.
So
And then, yeah, that's our inspiration gallery. So, but yeah, other than that, that's it. That's all I got.
So the winners, the first one is Sharice Malone. And then Kelly Schrader. And Lauren Michaels. Thanks, everybody. Anybody got any
Congratulations, everyone.
questions? Questions, comments, anything?
Hi, this is Dana. I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you kind of, I know everything is different and depending on spec, but is there a general guideline for pricing between sound masking versus acoustic panels, etc.?
Wow. Dana, right? Was that
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah.
That is honestly one of the best questions I think I've ever gotten. And I love to address this question, and I don't know why I don't generally just do it on my own. So thank you. So typically when we start talking about acoustic panels, we're looking at about on a low end, $13 to $15 a square foot for getting panels into a space. When we start talking about sound masking and treating a whole space, and we do a turnkey solution. So when we present our sound masking solutions, it's going to include layout, all the files. There's no software subscriptions or anything like that, but the software, the installation, the equipment, everything, right? And that typically is going to break down to a dealer net cost to you all of around anywhere as low as $1.50 a square foot to maybe on smaller spaces upwards of like $2.75 a square foot. So what's interesting about that and why I love that question is a lot of times people think that sound masking is just this crazy, expensive technological thing. But when you break it down from that regard, it actually is cheaper as far as treating a space than it is to do acoustic panels. So great, absolutely great question. Thank you.
And we do have local installers that we can direct you to also.
My last question is on the type of noise that the masking emits. Is it white noise, brown noise, pink noise? I know there's all different kinds of noise.
Excellent.
Again, I love that question too. And you'd be surprised at how many folks think it's all white noise. So knowing the difference, me personally, I'm a
call it white noise, so
yeah, well, yeah.
why we thought it wasn't.
Well, there's various shades. Me personally, I actually like brown noise. I think it's the most soothing. But our system is actually closest to pink noise.
And do you have the ability, because it's digital, to dial that in?
So yes, you can change the profiles. You can actually adjust and tweak the actual profile of it. We don't really recommend that to most folks, especially if they don't know exactly what they're doing. But you definitely do have the ability to create and set your levels and make sure that it is at an effective range for you and your employees, and make sure it's also comfortable as well.
Are you able to listen to music as well?
Who listens to music?
And we all
Yeah,
agree on what type of music we're gonna listen to.
That's the harder part.
But yes, you can.
if it's not 80s hair rock, if it's not a hair band, I'm not listening to it. So
Well, Pete's not gonna listen to it even.
Ah!
Oh,
Pete says I'm out. Yeah, so the ability to play music
I
is
was
a
talking
standard
about
feature.
Tucker. But yeah, you Pete, what is it? All Pete's don't have hair?
If you're gonna make jokes at my expense, at least you gotta see my reaction. Thanks.
You picked on me earlier.
But yeah, to answer the question, absolutely. The ability to play music is a standard feature in our sound masking system. It is typically a standard feature with most. But absolutely, our controller does come with a auxiliary cable that you would just connect some kind of music device, whether it be like a Sonos device or like an Alexa or even like a mobile phone or a tablet. And then you could play any kind of music. Obviously, MPS doesn't do any kind of licensing for music, so it would be up to you to provide the source for that as well.
Hey, I got one last question. Like, how many weeks does it take to get a quote back or ideas back? Or
Weeks, Tim, what do you think? We're turf? Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry.
Whoa,
No, Tim, that's a great question, and typically our turnaround on quotes, especially for sound masking quotes, I'm usually about within 24 hours on a turnaround for quoting. When it comes to our acoustic panels, right now we're at about 24 to 48 hours on getting a quote back. So,
okay, cool.
the name of the game here at MPS is response. We want to make sure that we're responsive to anything that you all need or anything that Tim and his group bring to us on your behalf.
All right, well, any other questions from anybody else?
I just thought of one, it's Kelly. As a dealer designer, what do you need from us to get a quote for like an entire floor plan sort of thing? Sound masking versus like whatever it might be.
Beautiful question. Love that one. Thank you so much, Kelly. So typically all we're going to want or need really are going to be if you have a RCP or even like a furniture floor plan of the space. If we're talking about combining acoustic material with sound masking, measurements for the space, such as wall measurements, especially where we're talking about putting stuff, any kind of photos of the space. So if you're out doing a walkthrough and you've got your phone and you want to take some photos, those are a picture's worth 1,000 words. It's a cliche, but it's very, very true. So photos, and then when it comes to sound masking specific, the only other thing outside of that floor plan that we need is we're going to want to know what's the ceiling type and how high is that ceiling. If it's like a drop tile ceiling, how tall is the plenum space? And the reason for that is because we do have 6 different types of speakers that we use for our sound masking systems, because certain speakers obviously just don't do well in certain types of situations. So we make sure that we quote the right speaker for the right job.
And Kelly, he does like to jump on the phone with you, your client, your A&D firm, or whoever. They love to get on that, to be able to sit there and get everybody on the same page. And it can be any stage of the process too, so.
Absolutely. I love, and oftentimes too, I get a project from somebody and they'll send me something and I've got just maybe 1 or 2 questions. I'll just call them up real quick and ask them if I'm catching them at a good time. If they are, we'll hash it out. But if not, we'll set something up. But then, discuss it, get the questions answered. My information is included in my signature block. I'm always open to taking calls. I actually took a online chat the other night at 10:30 at night. I'm getting into bed and my phone goes off with one of our chats because we actually we're the online tech support. If you go to our website, that's us as the account managers. So a chat came in and I picked it up at 10:30 at night and talking to a guy up in Canada who's needing some stuff for the next day. And my wife's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Chatting with a
Okay.
guy in Canada," you know? So,
Hey,
we,
Jake from, was it Allstate?
State Farm, yeah.
State Farm, yeah.
Yeah, we do. We love to make ourselves available to you and to your customers as well. And we do think that honestly, shameless pitch for MPS, that is one of the ways that we kind of do distinguish ourselves from other manufacturers out there. I am the dealer. Like I said, I'm with the Acoustic Solutions division. So I am the account manager that works with Tim and his team there for dealers in Ohio, Pennsylvania. Actually, I cover all of the East Coast, but so I mean, I like to make sure that I am available to you to answer any questions, to be able to help you out. And obviously, I know Tim and his team are as well. So, I not that there's a quote unquote chain of command or anything. So if you want to come directly to me, I'm going to loop them in with everything that comes out of their respective territory. So they're going to be aware of it. But if you want to send something to them, they're going to link me in, and me and the guys and gals, I guess, there at Tim O'Neill and Associates, we work hand in hand on everything. So
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions?
Nice job. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Greatly appreciate it. Have a great evening. Don't get caught in the supposed thunderstorms here, and at least in Columbus. Hopefully, we're gonna get them.
Let us know if you need a finish ball. It's so fun.
it looks like y'all need a new one, Pete.
We got,
And if you want a prize, I'll get in contact with you tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Need a new one.
Oh, that is a new one.
Got the new colors.
I need the new colors. This is an old one.
I think y'all's actually just shipped out today. Actually, I just saw the shipping notification, I think. So, but yeah, Amber, if you will just help those that won the drawing, just help them get in contact with me, and we will definitely get them rolling on getting their design and what they want, and we'll get them squared away.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, Matt. Great job.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well, you all have a great evening.
You too.
You too, Matt.
Bye.
Nice job. Thank you guys.
Thanks. Call if we could help.